and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. And welcome back, my friends, to Secret Origins Month. So last year, we looked at the origin of Green Arrow. Coincidentally enough, that comic debuted another DC hero, Aquaman. Unfortunately, this is one of those cases where I honestly cannot find much information on the whys and hows he was created. I can tell you he was co-created by Mort Weisinger and Paul Norris, who were commissioned to create some kind of underwater superhero. Paul Norris came up with a few sketches, and in particular, the iconic orange and green combination. And it just kinda went forward from there. Fortunately, unlike with Doctor Strange, we at least have his origin story here. Even if it's a bit vague and is different from how it would go later. But in any event, let us once again dig into More Fun Comics number 73 and behold the origin of Aquaman.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky, you're not the smartest. Life out, you're not an artist. Anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he's a man punch, wears a birdie hat. Linkara, he has a magic gun. Where'd he purchase that? Linkara, coins, robots, Amazon and trucks. Linkara, this comic sucks. Linkara.
Under the sea, darling, it's better down where it's wetter. Take it from me.
Like before, cover features Dr. Fate instead of the hero we care about. Move on to the 8-page story. We open with Aquaman, at sea of course, helping up a woman holding a baby while fighting, of course, the Nazis. It was 1941 after all. The Nazi is sporting a Hitler mustache, which sadly is as close as we'll get to Aquaman punching Hitler in this story. But more interesting to me is the monocle. How many Nazi villains in stories always have a monocle? Hell, in this story alone, 2 of them have one. Was the war going so badly for the Nazis that they needed to suspend making full glasses for a while? Many have heard the legend of Aquaman, but who will believe so strange a tale? Not the people of New York, apparently. They're still struggling with the concept of a 100-foot marshmallow man. Most amazing of all the secrets of the sea is the story of Aquaman, who, like a water god of old, dwells in the dim, unknown depths of the ocean. And the comparisons to Cthulhu don't end there. Leaping forth to do battle with the evils and injustices of the world we know. Injustices like too many ellipses. We see a ship get hit by a torpedo. An unarmed ship speeds over the high seas on its errand of mercy, and suddenly falls victim to the torpedo of a ruthless submarine raider. Okay, people, we need to talk. Why has there never been a character called the Submariner? The U-boat that sank the ship surfaces and they get a good look. Look, the last boat leaves. The captain takes charge. Right, Lieutenant, and he sees us. Listen, he's going to hail us. How is mine driving? Call 1332. The captain is not pleased. Hell, he's even shaking his fist at the submarine that fired torpedoes at him.
Shake harder, boy!
You fired on a defenseless ship, you cowards! A ship carrying refugees and hospital workers! Admittedly, they're mostly dermatologists, but still... Refugees, hospital workers! They must not live to tell the papers this story. Yeah, otherwise people might think the Nazis are bad guys. Actually, this did come out before the bombing of Pearl Harbor, so it's likely that ship was American, and sinking it would have brought America into the war, so better to try to just make it vanish without explanation. They try to fire on the lifeboat, but a green-gloved hand rises out of the water and grabs it. A sudden force whips the boat forward, escaping the intended doom by scant inches. A pity about the other boat it hits. And indeed, we see Aquaman pulling the boat away, much to the shock of the survivors. What? A single man handle this boat like this? Impossible! But I saw him! There he goes now! Okay, here's my pitch for a TV series. Michael Phelps travels through time and saves people. Monocle Man orders them to fire again, but Aquaman gets on board the ship, kicking a dude in the shin and knocking him overboard. See the sea, my friend! A better quip would have been Das Boot. Monocle Man retreats back into the sub and orders them to dive. Aquaman figures he can deal with them later. Diving deep, the strange man of the sea addresses friendly porpoises in their own language. And they obey. Although they do have trouble understanding him because of his thick accent. The porpoises help pull the boat to land. Say, man of the sea, from what land are you? From no land. Well, okay, Florida, but that's basically the same thing. My name is Aquaman. Buy my new album off of iTunes today. The captain asks how the hell he did this. Well, there's no harm in telling you. The story must start with my father, a famous undersea explorer. If I spoke his name, you would recognize it. Yep, Captain Nathan Bridger of SeaQuest DSV. My mother died when I was a baby, and he turned to his work of solving the ocean's secrets. Turns out those secrets just involved a lot of tax evasion. Aquaman tells about how his father discovered the ruins of Atlantis. He made himself a watertight home in one of the palaces and lived there, studying the records and devices of the race's marvelous wisdom. We ran out of oxygen quickly, but at least the rent was cheap. These remains of their science show that they possessed wonders the upper world has never known. I must bring the secrets of this Arby's sauce to the world above! From the books and records, he learned ways of teaching me to live under the ocean, drawing oxygen from the water, and using all the power of the sea to make me wonderfully strong and swift.
Of course! Don't you know anything about science?
You know, aside from just the stupidity that you can teach someone to breathe underwater, if the Atlanteans were able to do that, why exactly is their civilization dead? Wouldn't it really make no difference if it was underwater if they could breathe there already? I became what you see, a human being who lives and thrives under the water. My bathroom situation is kind of awkward, I admit. My son is a true dweller of the deep. His name shall be Aquaman! What the hell did you call him before this? Ground Man? After his father died, he carried on his studies, but that's the end of the story. Despite the captain wanting him to be rewarded, Aquaman heads off, refusing any such thing. Instead, he decides he needs to start fighting against evil on the surface world, chasing after the submarine. He tracks it to an island where Monocle Man is reporting on what happened to Monocle Man 2. Ha ha! You are a good sailor. Like all sailors, you spin a good yarn. He actually does believe the part about Aquaman. He just doesn't buy the part where he fought him off using only toothpaste and a German sausage. However, Aquaman soon shows up riding on the back of a porpoise. Forth from the waves bursts a terrifying juggernaut of justice. Okay, how the hell did Aquaman ever end up being so ridiculed when his first comic describes him as a terrifying juggernaut of justice? I've oceans of love for you boys. Oh, it's because he loves Nazis. Yeah, that's pretty mockable. Yeah, terrible, terrible pun. But in any event, they try to fire on Aquaman, but he submerges and attacks the submarine. Actually, I am a man punching a hole through it. Because, you know, the ancient Atlanteans knew how to punch through steel. Underwater. The submarine quickly sinks. Must have been pretty crappy with only a single fist-sized hole taking it down. And the Nazis realize they're trapped until another submarine comes. You are only half right. You are trapped, but no submarine will ever report to you again. I've punched them all. He slaps a gun out of the lead Nazi's hands. Don't threaten me. I'm no helpless refugee woman aboard a peaceable ship. Aqua Dick. The two Nazis run into a munitions building, presumably to get some weapons, and lock the door behind them. Come out of the sewer, rats! Aquaman's greatest foe, a locked door. I kid, since it says he's about to batter down the door, but instead we see that apparently strength enough to punch through a submarine's hull does not apply to his head. A Nazi goes up to the window above him and drops a hammer on his head in an almost Looney Tunes-esque display. Heads, you lose! Damn, the Nazis have better quips than Aquaman does. Later, he's tied up and they declare they're going to kill him because of the threat he poses. You like the water so much? Back to it you'll go! Yes, to feed the fishes! Sorry guys, that plan was just so stupid it forced my brain to reboot. Just like, how exactly did they ever think this plan would work? He is the guy who came at you from the water, took out your submarine underwater, and clearly has sea life on his side. If you're gonna kill him in the water, at least shoot him in the head before you dump his body. But no, instead they tie weights to his feet and arms, and he just plummets into the bottom of the ocean. He lands inside of a dead underwater volcano, where the water pressure would kill a normal person, but for him is just preventing him from using his enhanced strength to free himself from his bonds. So how will he get out? One fights fire with fire, and water with water. Of course, water will free you from the water. Wait, what? What he actually does is find a nearby plant that contains a bright green fluid. He breaks the plant and lets the green liquid go up, acting as a signal flare for some nearby porpoises. They recognize his situation and lift him up into less pressure, where he's able to free himself. He then quickly heads back out to the Nazi island. That sea creature was like many another powerful enemy. Our wits were too much for him. Yes, he must be fish bait by now. And now it is just the two of us. Mano a monocle. This will knock your wits out. Aquaman, I think you may have been underwater a bit too long, man. The other Nazi flees into the munitions building and chucks a grenade at him. I don't know what danger this is, but I throw it back to you. Let's play hot potato. And the grenade explodes, blowing up the munitions building. Wow, really hot potato. I just love this comical depiction of the guy flying up like this. It really is just a big cartoon. The submarine sunk, the supply of weapons destroyed, the leader of murder dead. Weird phrasing, but okay. So ends one labor of Aquaman. Yes, I sunk a ship down that will pollute the ocean, caused a massive explosion, and I killed a bunch of people. Behold the labor of Aquaman! And so our comic ends with Aquaman waving to us as the story promises more adventures from him. How many more Nazis will he kill? This origin is pretty good, all things considered. Aquaman's one-liners leave something to be desired, but you can't go wrong with Nazi fighting. I also love how they were able to give his backstory fairly quickly and in a way not too intrusive. The artwork is good for Golden Age standards, and aside for a few logical hiccups, which are also expected from the time period of comics, it's not bad at all. Aquaman's origin in later times would of course be revised in the Silver Age, where instead of an undersea explorer, his father was a lighthouse keeper. Said lighthouse keeper met Atlanta, an outcast from Atlantis, and the two fell in love and had a son named Arthur, aka Aquaman. He could survive outside of the water for about an hour at a time, gained superpowers, and eventually became King of Atlantis. But, of course, all of that is a story for another day. Next time, Secret Origins Month once again sees a hero who began his life somewhat as a villain. Thanks to the villain-turned-hero from last year.
That comic books are for geeks.
So, did, like, Aquaman kill all the other Nazis on the island, too? We only really see the fates of the Monocle brothers.